podcast. I'm your host, founder, and executive producer at the Film Fund, Thomas Verdi. I'm also an award winning filmmaker, producer, and film festival judge. I started the Film Fund to give filmmakers an easier, alternative way to get their films funded. Instead of working on a screenplay, crowdfunding campaign, or grant application, you write one sentence pitching your film for a chance to receive up to $10,000 and other prizes to make it. Our summer 2022 narrative and documentary short film funding contests just closed, but wait, we just decided to extend the deadline. If you check your email, we literally just sent an email out at like 9:30 Eastern time saying we decided to extend the deadline by 1 week. So if you submitted a pitch and you want to submit another one, you have another week to do so. Or if you just missed that deadline and you wanted to submit one, you didn't, you now have another chance. So check us out at thefilmfund.co to enter your one sentence pitch for a chance to receive up to $10,000 to make your film. If you are listening at a later date, I want to remind you that contests do happen regularly, so check the website at thefilmfund.co for the most up-to-date information. Today we have Izabella Amar on the show. She is a filmmaker who won our Adobe Premiere, not just Premiere, it was Adobe Creative Cloud 3-month prize to Adobe Creative Cloud, a subscription. We don't do that prize anymore, but we used to. So we finally have her on the show to talk about her project. Thank you so much for coming, Izabella. Um, could you give us
Thank you for
a
having
little
me.
bit? Yeah, absolutely. Could you give us a little bit more info about you?
Yes, I actually work as a case manager for personal injury clinic Monday through Friday, and then on the weekends
Cool.
I am a screenwriter and filmmaker.
Awesome. I love that. Yeah, we always love talking to filmmakers about their their day jobs and then their creative outlet. How long have you been working in film?
So it actually started in 2020 during COVID,
Oh, cool.
so not very long. Yeah,
Yeah, well,
yeah,
that's super impressive then. That you know produced the bridge, your short film that we released last November. I'm looking at the date, so it's been a while since we released it. So I'm super glad we were finally able to get you on the show. What made
yes,
you
sir.
have an interest in filmmaking over COVID?
So basically, my filmmaking journey is a little bit different, I guess, than most people. I don't have any um, training. Everything that I've learned was online.
Okay.
Um, I never really wanted to be a filmmaker. I wanted to do screenwriting. That was my thing.
Hmm.
But then one day when I was on Facebook trying to garner some funding, someone was like, "Well, what have you made? What can you show us for us to donate money?"
Hmm.
And I was like, "Wow, these people are really mean." But at the same time, I thought about it. I was like, they're right. What have I made? What do I have to show? So that sort of thrust me into filmmaking. I was like, yeah, I need something to show so people can have faith in what they're supporting.
Absolutely.
So that's basically how it started.
And so, is the bridge a project that you made as something to show people, like, hey, here's what I made. Now let's try to get funding for a bigger project?
Yeah, so I actually wrote a bigger project, a feature film,
Oh, cool.
prior to The Bridge. Um, and during that time when we were having auditions, I met two actors that I really, really liked, and I felt like they would have great chemistry together.
Hmm.
So I was like, let me scale it back because this project, the feature is gonna require too much funding
Yeah.
than what I have now.
Hmm.
I got together with them. I reached out. I was like, hey guys, do you think you would be interested in working on a short film with me? And one of the actresses was transgender, and I spoke with the other actor, and I was like, would you be comfortable working together? And I want to create like a love story.
Hmm.
And they were like, sure. So it started off that, and then I wrote a poem and turned it into the bridge, the short
Awesome.
film,
So you
sort of
found
like
the transgender
transformed into that.
actor before writing the script for the bridge. So that kind of the
Yes,
actor kind of
yeah,
inspired the story.
she did. Yeah, I was very. I call her my muse. Um, I was just so taken back by her confidence and her talent when she auditioned
Hmm.
for us for the other project that we were doing.
Hmm. So is she the feature
So
project
yeah,
or a different project?
yeah, it's a future project. It's called Blue Sky, but in Spanish it's Cielo Azul.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
This is super random, but I had a dream last night where I was fluent in Spanish. I took it in high school. Um, I don't remember much of it, but I remember speaking in the dream like fluently. So I guess in my unconscious, I still remember how to speak Spanish. But yeah, that sounds super. Cielo Azul, is that what you say?
Yes, yellow, also blue
Oh, that's
sky.
super pretty name. What is that? What is that film about?
So basically, it's a love story as well. For some reason, I'm obsessed with like bottling that feeling up. You know, that love, fresh love when
Hmm.
you first find, a person, um, that interaction. I'm like obsessed with that right now. So everything that I write is basically trying to bottle that up into a
Hmm.
film. Um, so it's basically an attorney from New York comes to represent a client in Houston, and they fall in love and go from there. So yeah, it's a work in
Hmm.
progress. I've been working on it since
Oh wow.
2019. Um,
Yeah, features take a
yeah,
long time.
I've rewritten it at least 11
Hmm.
times.
I have
Yeah.
two feature scripts I wrote,
So
and they both I reread both of them over the pandemic. I was like, wow, these need some work, so I need to rewrite mine as well. But yeah, I mean, writing is rewriting. That's what they say. Um,
it
and
is, yes, definitely.
they so what are some themes that you generally write about? I mean, you said the love story. Is that kind of the wheelhouse you tend to stay in?
Yes, even if it's comedy, it's always
Hmm.
love, is the main theme. Basically, I like to connect people that you wouldn't normally expect to get
Hmm.
together. You know, those chance encounters,
Yeah, for sure.
two opposites that somehow find the
Hmm.
commonality and they join together. That's like my favorite type of love
Yeah, and that's
story.
great too because we talk a lot about conflict, on the Film Fun podcast and in our resources page. And what do we call the blog now? I have not had enough coffee yet. The film. Oh my god, the Film Fund Learn. That's what it is. Yeah, I just learned out. I just found out I have sleep apnea, so that's not helping either. But anyway, the Film Fund Learn. Yeah,
Oh
we
no.
our resources page, the Film Fund Learn. We have a lot of how to and um, knowledge articles on there, and we write about conflict a lot in storytelling. When you have two characters who are kind of opposites, you that really lends an opportunity for there to be conflict there. Different backgrounds, different life experiences. There's going to be some kind of conflict. So I think that's a great theme to kind of stick with, because it naturally creates conflict. And there are differences in opinions and things like that, and you can do a lot with that. Um, Tell us a little bit about the bridge. I know you said you kind of the idea came from this actor that you met, but how did you really form it into what it is?
So basically, I took experiences from high school, your first love and how you think that they're the only person in the whole world that you want and that you need to be with. And I basically showed how that doesn't always happen the way that you envision it. Um, I think that the constant pushing and pulling between the two of them, um, I mean, it's very real. A lot of teenagers deal with that, and sometimes they can't handle, you know, not being with that
Hmm.
person. Um, and I just wanted it to be a tragic love story between two young people. On one side, there's, this girl that's willing to do anything to be with this guy, and then on the other, this guy really loves her, but he's being pulled by his family and their
Hmm.
expectations. So that's basically what I wanted to portray in
Hmm.
the film, um, with these two actors and these characters, rather, Lewis and Maria.
And I'm pulling up your winning pitch now, actually, so we can read it on the show, just as an example. But in the meantime,
I don't even remember what it
in the
was.
meantime, can you tell us a little bit about like the plot without giving too much away? Like, does the transgender aspect, how does that fit into it?
So basically, the transgender aspect is the conflict for them because although he does really love this girl and she really loves him, that's the one thing that's holding them back because very conservative parents, and they have this pressure on him to give them
Hmm.
grandchildren, one day. So that's really the what's keeping him back. So he basically is forced to marry someone that he doesn't really
Hmm.
love. He has feelings for her. He cares about this other girl, Camilla, but he doesn't really love her. He really loves
Gotcha.
Maria.
And it looks, I'm actually looking at our entries here. It looks like you submitted this, or not the same pitch, but a pitch for this project twice. You submitted it once, then you revised it a little bit, and then submitted it again. That's awesome. And
I
then
did.
the revision actually ended up winning. So that just goes to show you that I think understanding your film and really working on that log line and that pitch, it can really pay off. If something's not quite working or you get feedback on it, then use that feedback to change it a little bit, improve it, see what's working, what's not working. And we offer, I don't know if we offered it at the time when you entered, but now we offer a feedback service, so you can enter, get feedback from our team on your pitch, and then use that feedback to revise your pitch to enter again. um, so that we found that filmmakers have found that to be super helpful. And now I have it pulled up, the one that did win, so I'm going to read it. A soldier struggles to end the
Okay.
secret relationship with his transgender neighbor after returning home to marry his new fiance. We wrapped and need funds to complete post production editing slash scoring. Now, I was just talking about conflict, and I like to talk a lot about conflict words, because it is tough to get across conflict in just one sentence. And one word that jumps out at me right here is secret. That just is a very loaded word. It carries a lot of conflict with it. You have a secret. Okay, well, it also raises questions. What is the secret? And then the conflict part of it. Who are you keeping the secret from? Um, and then you have the conflict of returning home to marry his new fiance. So you have that thrown in there. How does this fit in with the new fiance? And then another powerful word there is struggles. A soldier struggles. So that's the third word in the pitch, and that's a great way to start too, because it's an action word and it's also a conflict word. The soldier is struggling to end something. He's fighting with that. So there's just a ton there that really creates a sense of conflict right in the first few words of the pitch. So I think Izabella did a great job there. Um, the so where did you, uh, besides the actor being transgender, where did you draw inspiration for this film?
Um, from
Hmm.
personal experiences in high school, things that I've read online, just so many different aspects of life
Hmm.
that you
Did
encounter.
you have a military background or
Um,
know someone who was overseas?
yeah, so I've had I've had friends that were in the military, and they used to tell me stories about how they would meet these girls, and they would fall
Hmm.
in love really quickly and then move on to the next because they're
Right.
constantly moving around. Um, so that I drew from that as well. It was really important to me for them to be neighbors. I think that
Hmm.
created more conflict with the characters because they live
Right.
across the street from each other. Um, so yeah, military transgender. There's a movie. It's a really old movie. It's a true story um, about a guy that a military soldier that fell in love with a transgender woman, and he was murdered in his
Wow.
barracks. I guess that's what they call him, while he was asleep. Yeah, because they found out. Um, so that's also something that I drew from as well, in the sense of, they had such a beautiful love story, and it was tragically cut to an end because, of people's, um, just their
Hmm.
lack of understanding. So I also drew from that as well, with
Hmm.
the soldier
Do you know the
aspect.
name of that movie? It sounds like a pretty interesting story as well.
Um, it is so old, yeah. I think it's called
Okay.
Soldier's Girl, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, but it's a true story. It's
Hmm.
it's really tragic. Um,
Cool.
I believe that is the name of it. Yeah, Soldier's Girl. It was from 2003.
Okay, I will definitely check that out. Um, and that's awesome. Drawing inspiration from other works, drawing inspiration from your life, from friends' lives. There's really a ton. Like when people say, "I don't know what to write about," like you literally can just look at your own life and look at other
Yes,
movies, and not
right in
not to
front of
say
you.
like go rip off some movie, but just you can be inspired by them and write similar things, or similar stories, or it can awaken something in you um, that you are passionate about, or that resonates with you. So I want to go back to when you started on your filmmaking journey. I know you said you started screenwriting, or wanting to be a screenwriter. Was that, and you said it was over COVID? Was that just because you were cooped up over COVID? Like, how did the itch to write come about?
No, so actually, I wrote a TV series in 2015,
Okay.
and I started trying to pitch it. And I'm all about making like having everything 100% before I try to send it out to anyone.
Mm-hmm.
So I hired someone to look over and make sure I, did everything correctly. My formatting was good before I try to send it out. Um, so I'm the person that I hired. He was actually also a talent manager in LA. His name was Ernest Harris, and he really loved it. He's like, I'm not going to charge you for the
Oh
work.
wow.
He's like, but I wonder if, if you'd be interested in me trying to help you pitch
Hmm.
it. And I was like, of course, I would love, to try to get it out there, especially if you're in LA and you have connections. So we started working together. We would have meetings over the phone, and he would give me notes, and we would go back and forth. And he even created my pitch deck
Oh
and
wow.
everything. Um, and then in 2019, right before, the whole COVID thing, I went to New York and for a vacation, and I didn't hear anything back from him. I kept calling him. I'm like, what is going on? Finally, I looked online and I saw that he had passed
Oh my
away.
god.
And I was like, yes, it was
Oh my god.
horrible.
That's
Like, I
so
was so
tragic.
sad. Yeah, extremely tragic. And I reached out to his wife. And so basically, that sad moment led to another sad moment, which was, our project wasn't going to move
Mm-hmm.
forward. So he hadn't even had a chance to pitch it to anyone. It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
ready. Um, so I decided let me write something else because I got inspiration in New
Mm-hmm.
York. Obviously New York is such an amazing place. Um, Different city, your heart beats with that city when you go there, and it just changes your
Mm-hmm. And you're
perspective
based
on
in
everything.
Texas?
Um, yes, I'm in
Cool.
Houston. Well, I'm outside of Houston in a suburb called
Okay.
Katy. Yeah, but I'm in Houston. It's
Yeah,
completely
very
different
good.
out
I've been to
here than
Texas
it is
once. I was
there.
in
Flatland.
Fort Worth um, over the summer, actually, so it was pretty hot. But yeah, definitely a different world than
It's
New York.
extremely hot. Yes, definitely. Yeah. So yeah, so that I started writing CLR. So as soon as I got back from New York, I was just so inspired, and I started writing the story about two people that happened to get together, and basically I started writing in 2014. I wrote a children's book. Um, I've always wanted to write, but I was always held back by fear. You feel like, oh, if I don't go to college and get a degree in literature, I can't call myself
Hmm.
a writer. And so it held me back, those walls that you
Hmm.
build around yourself because there's these rules that you can't do certain things. Um, I always felt like I was missing out on something. And then my husband, he turned me on to Les Brown, who is a motivational
Okay.
speaker. And he talked about, the graveyard is the richest place in the world because all these dreams that people never fulfilled die
Hmm.
with them. And I was like, wow, that is it's deep
Yeah.
and scary at the same time. Like I don't want to be one of
Hmm.
those people. So I wrote a bucket list of things that I wanted to accomplish before I
Hmm.
leave this earth. And writing a children's book was one. Writing a TV series, producing a film, writing a song. So I'm
Very
going
cool.
down my list. Um, yeah, but as I said, I never wanted to be a filmmaker, but once you do it, like once you're forced to do it, you realize it's like an amazing
Hmm.
feeling. It's such a great experience, and it's kind of like a drug actually, because once I produced the bridge, it's like, what's next? Like I want to
Hmm.
do something else. Like I want to do more. And it's like that's all you want to
Yeah.
do after you work on a film. It's just a totally
Yeah,
different
I mean, when
environment.
I'm on set, even if it's something corporate, it's just there's such an energy there when you're creating something. I thrive on that. Most of my job, at least right
Right.
now, if we have a local production for FF Branded, I'll go on set. But generally, I do all my producing remotely, and it's just me on the laptop. But if I do get to be on set, either for a passion project or a corporate project for FF Branded, it's just so energizing. It's like, wow, like this is what I want to do. Like I need you just have a whole team of people, even if it's a small set and it's just a few people. Um, just everyone's there to create something. Everyone is like-minded. It's just such a great environment to be in. So I would encourage anyone out there, if you're just starting out and you haven't been on set, definitely go, you know, join Facebook groups. You know, if you're in a city, there are going to be meetups and film groups. Like, just try to get on set. Even I hate saying like work for free, but even if it's just like a student project and they're going to need help, be a PA, a production assistant, just being on set, you're going to learn so much too, and ask questions. So yes, like I love filmmaking. I definitely agree. That's why we're all here. Agree that it can be a drug and addictive for sure.
Exactly.
Um, so do you have plans to um, eventually try to be a full-time filmmaker?
Yeah, that's the goal. So
Mm,
right now the bridge has actually, because we got so much great feedback from everyone, especially in the
mm,
neighborhood, that once we got backed by the film fund, we were able to get our all the funds that we needed.
mm.
Um, your stamp of approval helped us.
Oh, that's awesome. So glad to
Yeah.
hear that.
Yeah, so it actually helped us finish everything. We were able to pay for composing and everything. So it turned out really great. And everyone
Mm,
was like, "Well, what happens to Maria and Lewis now?" Like everyone kept asking. So we're like, you know what? Let's turn it into a small little web series. So that's what
oh,
we're
very
working
cool.
on now.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so we've been trying to film one. Our main actor Lewis, he actually moved to Colombia.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, so we're trying to plan around him
Mhm.
um, and not to give too much away, but Maria has a new love interest because she goes off to college and
Okay.
yeah, so it's been really fun working on that.
Now, will you recast Lewis, or will you work around his?
Oh no, we'll work
Is
around.
he
I can't recast him.
so? Or will you? Does he come back from Colombia to shoot,
Yes,
or will you go?
yes. He'll
Oh,
come
okay.
back. Yeah. So he already has all the scripts and we've been in contact with each other.
Oh,
But
that's
he
great.
will definitely fly out whenever we're ready to get him
Oh,
scheduled
wow,
to
that's
film.
awesome. And it sounds
Yeah.
like you already have an audience for it too, because
We
like you said, you have
do.
these
Yeah.
people who are asking what happened. That's so important. Um,
Yeah.
that's like the hard work that you already have done. So congrats on that.
Thank you. Yeah, I try to, whenever I write something, I try to make sure it's always a love letter to my city, to the neighborhood where I grew up in, and my community. It's very
Hmm.
important that I choose actors and I create content that they could look at and see themselves and feel proud. Oh, this is, someone from my neighborhood made this. And,
Hmm.
you know,
Did you
and,
grow up in
and the
Texas?
actors. Yeah, I did. I grew up in Houston in the Easton
Okay.
district, which is very predominantly Hispanic community.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, it was great to create something like that for my community.
Hmm.
And we worked in the community, the people that we found to let us film at their residences is the community where I grew up.
Oh, that's
So,
great.
and the bridge that we filmed on was in my community. It wasn't
Oh, I
there when
love
I
that.
was growing up.
Yeah.
We didn't
Super
have that
local.
bridge. You had to swim across the bayou to get to the other side. But yeah, now we have that bridge and it's so beautiful and
Hmm.
I'm really happy that we were able to create something on there, on that bridge,
Hmm.
focus around it.
Now I know we had the online release and it's on YouTube. Did you take it to festivals, or are you planning on doing anything like that with it?
I did. I did not have really good luck with festivals, but that's okay. We're
Yeah,
gonna do better next time. I
yeah,
understand it was my first, and I have to give myself credit for that. It's my first one. At
yeah,
first, I was
absolutely.
beating myself up about it, and I'm just like, "It's your
I
first
submitted
one."
my first short film to a ton of festivals and got into zero. And looking back at the short film, it is really, really bad. Your short film is really, really good, especially like given that is your first film. Like that's incredible.
Thank you.
My first short, I like the footage was all shaky. It didn't cut together well. Like I didn't use any lights. It filmed in like the back seat of a car for one scene. You can't even see. It's bad. Um, and I submitted to festivals. So like festivals are hit or miss sometimes, and it really depends on where you're submitting and what they're looking for at that particular moment. But
Right.
we have it up on our website and it's doing pretty well in terms of views. So if you're listening to this, go check it out. Um, what were some of the major challenges you encountered in the filmmaking process?
Where do I begin? It's always funding, I find, that is a
Mm-hmm.
huge issue. For me, finding crew, because crew is they're such skilled workers.
Mm-hmm.
They're amazing people, and the work that they or the talent that they bring to your set. So it's really hard to network and expect people to come and work for free.
Yeah.
I hate asking it. It's like the hardest thing to do for me. Um, but I've met a lot of great people. Some people are willing to, I'll pay for their lunch or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
the bare minimum, sometimes pay for gas. But that's the hardest. I actually found you guys through Studio Binder.
Oh, cool.
So I use Studio Binder to plan everything out. I
Mm-hmm.
mean,
Yeah, Studio Binder's
it
great.
is
We use that at FF
such
Branded too.
amazing software, especially for, people that don't really have a huge budget.
Mm-hmm.
You can plan everything out and it's so great. So it really saves, it's a godsend.
Shout out
Um,
to Studio Binder, and I want to thank Studio Binder for featuring
yes,
us in their list of funding resources too. That's super big for us. We were first posted by No Film School. They don't really post us anymore. Whatever. I don't know what's going on with that, but Studio Binder has posted us, so has Kit Split, and some of our other amazing partners. So I just want to give them a quick shout out. Thank you for featuring us. Yeah, your Studio Binder software is amazing. I use it for my short films that I
it really
do.
is.
Personally, we use it for all of our corporate projects that come through FF Branded if we're producing them. Um, yeah, it's just super great software. So I'm glad that you found this through that.
Yes, yes, I am so glad as well. Yeah, they are amazing. You guys are amazing for everything that you do.
Thank you
All the
so much.
resources you provide. Yeah, for especially for new filmmakers. You feel like you're like in the desert and you
Hmm.
don't know where to turn. But then you look online and you see this. When I saw how easy it was to apply for your grant, um, I at first I was like, "Is this real?" Like it's too easy. I don't
Hmm.
understand. But no, yeah, I think that funding is the hardest part. Networking, trying to convince people to join your project for free
Hmm.
at times when you're unable to get funding. For the bridge, we were able to get funding, and I paid a crew. Because, like I said, I'm not really a filmmaker. I don't know how to work a camera or
Sure.
do sound. I am willing to learn. I've been learning here and
Hmm.
there, little by little. Um, but because of our funding for the bridge, I was able to pay a cinematographer and a sound recordist.
Nice. Where did the rest of the
Um,
funding come from?
my community.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
I did a GoFundMe,
Okay,
yeah.
very very cool. Yeah.
And then my parents as
Uh
well.
huh.
They were so proud.
Oh, that's awesome.
So they donated a huge lump sum.
Very cool. Yeah,
So shout out to my parents.
it's yeah. Shout out to Isabella's parents. And all parents that give us opportunities, and are just it's just so cool to see families and communities coming together. And I always say, people ask us like, oh, if I enter the film fund, does that mean I can't do crowdfunding? Like, no, you can absolutely pair it with multiple funding sources, because we can't always fund the full project. Like, we were super
Right.
excited to give Isabella to give you the 3 month subscription, but that's not going to pay for the whole film. So I'm so excited. It really makes me excited to see that like our stamp of approval was really valued and it helped you raise additional funding. That's super cool.
Yes, I I loved it. Thank you. I really needed it.
Yeah.
We needed it
Glad to help. hmm
collectively.
what advice would you give to our community of filmmakers? Maybe people who are just starting out.
I would say believe in yourself. Learn as much as you can online.
hmm
Um, find your tribe. That's very
Yes.
important. Find other people going through the journey because it makes it so much
hmm
easier. I try to do everything myself in the beginning, and I learned that it just
Yeah,
doesn't
it
work
doesn't
that
work.
way.
Filmmaking.
Not in film.
There's this
Yeah.
guy, Casey Neistat, big YouTuber. He's also a filmmaker. I think he sold some stuff to HBO, but he has a video. It's a little old now, but it's called "Filmmaking as a Team Sport." It's actually one of the Film Fund's first blog posts, and I just love that so much because it's so true. It's like you cannot. I mean, you could make a film all by yourself and make it like a documentary thing,
You're like, you
but
can.
it's not as fun. The production value is not going to be as good. Um,
Right.
you need multiple people to make a really great film. So yeah, and even if that,
Yeah.
even if your tribe is online, you can do so much online. Like when I was first starting out, I was on forums, just asking question after question after question, and like people want to help because, like you said, like people, there's an energy they have from either being on set or just talking about filmmaking or helping other people make productions. So you definitely find other people. Even if it is your parents, like my first couple of short films, I literally had my dad holding a boom pole that I rigged up from like a Home Depot painter's pole and some
That is
attachment I
so
bought on
great.
eBay, which probably looking back cost just as much as like an actual boom pole would have cost me. But yeah, just get whoever you can to help out because people want to help and people want to create things, and it's super exciting to do so.
I agree. Yeah, definitely. I think that for me, because I'm older. I'm in my 40s, early 40s. Um, that's I think another challenge. You think, oh my God, well, I'm too old to be doing this. I'm in my 40s. It's something that you always tell you have this little voice in the back of your head, from society. That's what they
Mhm.
tell you. Um, so I find that it helps to find young voices to collaborate with to keep your outlook fresh, your storytelling fresh as well. So I've teamed up with a writer that I found who's actually one of the actors on the Bridge
Oh, cool.
web series. He's a college graduate he's a filmmaking graduate from Sam Houston State University. And we've been working together. Actually, I'm helping him write his own series. Um, and it's just been a wonderful learning experience because I realized that because people always say, screenwriting is a lonely
hmm
process, and I feel it is as well. But now that I have a writing partner, um, it is it's a lot different. It's a different experience. It's much more
Yeah.
fun and engaging, and I feel like things just
hmm
flow out of you when you're working with someone. And I have my lived experience, and he has his
Right.
fresh take on the world experiences. And they mesh
hmm
really well together. So shout out to
There you
Christian
go.
Hawkless, my
Christian
writing
Hawkless.
partner.
Maybe we'll get him on the podcast in the future if you yeah, update us with
Yeah, definitely.
oh my god, my Discord is blowing up. Someone so the film fun it's actually the film fun Discord. This guy Cliff joined this morning and has just sent a bunch of I think they call them stickers. I guess okay, sorry for the the distraction there. I'll have to reply to them and hi Cliff if you're listening to this.
It's
Um
okay. I tried to use Discord before, but I don't understand
Gotcha.
what's going on there.
If you ever have any questions, send me an email. Happy to help out because we do have a pretty great community there
I will
as well.
definitely.
But that's awesome. So your next project is this web series you're focusing on. What's the timeline looking like for that?
So we filmed about 3 episodes so far. We have about three more. Right now, we're just trying to coordinate Gabriel coming back to Houston so we could film.
hmm
And then also um, Maria, which is played by Lucy Diaz. She is in a band, so we have to work around that schedule.
Gotcha.
They travel, they
Are you
perform.
going to feature any of her music
I
in the web
actually
series?
did speak with her about that. She's down. She's game.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And one of our new actors from the series, he's also a singer. And he has some music, and I spoke with him as well. So we may be featuring his, because usually what I've been doing is I'll write like the track for one episode, and we'll feature that one
So
track.
you have a music background as well.
Um, I'm not formally trained. It's
Hmm.
just something that I dabbled in when I was a teenager.
Okay.
But yeah, I like to write music as well.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, so I have this. I don't know if you ever heard of Fiverr.
Yep.
So I work with a lot of artists on Fiverr, and we'll
Okay.
collaborate in a group. And I have someone, creating the piano track, and someone playing the cello,
Hmm.
and have
Oh,
our
that's awesome.
vocalist. Yeah, so then that's how I create my music, and then
Very cool.
we add it to, the track on the bridge. The closing credits.
Hmm.
I wrote that song. I worked with an
Oh, no
artist in
way.
Argentina. Yeah,
Oh, that's so cool.
yeah.
We'll
So
we'll have to check that out again. And then just
I love
for
to
people
create.
listening, yeah, multidisciplinary.
Yeah.
For those listening who don't know what Fiverr is, it's a freelancer platform where you can hire freelancers to do just about anything, any kind of work, whether it's creative or accounting. There's also another good one called Upwork where we've gotten some great work done as well. So
Yeah,
I would
that
definitely
work is great.
recommend checking those out for sure. Be a little careful though when you get into things like color grading because when you get to that like higher skilled jobs, you don't always get the best results. Like I hired a colorist on Fiverr, and you get what you pay for. I didn't pay much at all, and the thing came back and it was just terrible. So just make sure you look at like their portfolios and their reviews before you hire people. But it is a great platform, and it's so awesome you're able to collaborate with people on there. Just goes to show you like you found your tribe as well online, and people to collaborate. And you said it in Argentina. That's so cool.
Yeah, the singer, the vocalist was from Argentina. Yeah,
I love that.
for that track. And then on the
Getting
series, we
international.
have someone from I'm sorry, from Brazil that
Oh wow,
sings. Yeah,
very cool.
yeah.
Love all that. So look out for the web series. Is it also called The Bridge, or is there a
The
different
bridge.
title? The Bridge.
Yeah.
Very cool. Do you have a website up for that yet?
No, not as of yet. Now we do have a Instagram page, which is
Okay.
the Bridge web series.
Okay. Everybody check that out. The Bridge web series. So you're working on the web series. What else is next for you in the next year or so?
So I'm also working with my writing partner on his project called 20 something, which is a web series as well. We actually just
Awesome.
finished writing season one, so there's about 6 or 7 episodes in that, and we're gonna go from there. And like I said, I'm also rewriting CLA Soul again for like the 1,000th time.
You'll get there. Uh,
Yeah, I'll get
Isabella,
there.
I want to thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today. Um,
Thank you.
other than the Bridge account, do you have social media channels that we could follow you on?
Yes. So I am on Instagram. My personal page is Empress Isabella, um,
Okay,
and my name is spelled with a Z, not an
a
S.
Z. Got it. Empress
Yes.
Isabella with a Z. So again, I want to thank you for coming on the show. Remember, we just extended our deadline for a week. As I'm saying that, I realize this episode won't be out for a while, so everything I'm saying about the deadline is kind of moot. But we host contests regularly, so check out our website at thefilmfund.co for the most up-to-date information on all of our deadlines. Sign up for our newsletter. Um, and check us out on social media. We're at the Film Fund on Instagram, Simply Film Fund on Twitter, Facebook.com/FilmFundCo, and the Film Fund on LinkedIn. And also check out our blog, great filmmaking and producing tips there, blog.thefilmfund.co. Sign up for our newsletter, follow us on social to stay up to date on what's happening at the Film Fund. We also have a resources page, thefilmfund.co/resources, where we have great tips on the pre-production process in our ebook, The Ultimate Guide to Pre-Production. So be sure to check that out. Again, I want to thank everyone for listening. You can tune in every other Friday for new episodes. Isabella, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
Um, Keep creating. That's all I want to say.
Love that. Keep creating. Thanks, everyone. Talk to you soon.